Hi there. Welcome back to the Streams of Emotions. I'm really glad you are here with me again. In our last episode, episode 3, we explored something that I think a lot of people quietly wonder. Am I the only one who feels this way? The reality is that no, you are not. You are not alone in your feelings. Your emotions are not strange or wrong or exclusive to you. Someone somewhere right now is feeling almost the same thing, the same feelings you're experiencing now. Yes, you'll be surprised to even know about that. Your emotions aren't exclusive. They are part of being human. We all experience emotions, similar emotions at varying times. Today, we want to build on that and we'll look at the episode 4 and we are going to look at how emotions influence our decisions. I just want you to take a moment and think back. What was the last decision you made? Was it something big like changing a career or ending or starting a new relationship or moving to a new place? Or it was something small like what you chose to eat yesterday or whether you replied to that message right away or not. You see? But I want to ask yourself honestly, did you make that decision emotionally or logically? If you are thinking logically, you are not alone. Most people, we all think that logic or reasoning is the primary factor of making decisions. We look at the pros and the cons and we look at all the side of a matter before arriving at conclusion. But neuroscience tells us otherwise. You see, our brain has a lot of parts, but today we just want to look at two main parts of the brain, and which is the emotional center and the logical center. The emotional center of the brain is usually found within the limbic system, and what it does is it reacts quickly always. That is how it's created. That is its nature. It reacts very quick. But the logical part of the brain is also connected within the prefrontal cortex. And what it does is it reacts slow, but it's more intentional. That is the logical part of the brain or the logical center of the brain. Just looking at these two, you realize something interesting here. You realize that before you even start making a decision, your emotions have already moved ahead. That is its nature. We can therefore conclude that your emotions are the engine behind your choices because they move very fast. Logic often comes in to later explain, to justify, modify, or redirect what your feelings have already decided. That is what logic does. Let's look at this in a more practical situation. Let's say you were scrolling through a job list or you were checking on your laptop some list of job offers and you begin to see a particular kind of job. Maybe before you finish reading, something begins to stir up within you. It may be a spark of excitement or it may be a wave of doubt. And this kind of feeling that you have will influence whether you are going to proceed to apply for the job or withdraw from applying it and keep scrolling. Is your emotion. Let's look at another scenario. You meet someone for the first time. There is a kind of feelings you have when you meet people for the first time. It may be a comfortable, curious feeling. It may be a feeling of ease, or it may be an uncomfortable, an unease feeling. And this kind of feeling will influence whether you are going to relate with the person, share more with the person, or you are just going to withdraw. That is why they say first impression counts. It's not just about meeting a person. The impression is generated from how you felt when you related with the person. It might be wrong. Remember that. It might be wrong. But because the emotions comes in first, logic then comes in to massage what the emotions have decided. So this is why understanding your emotions is not about feeling better alone. No. It's also about making better decisions. When you understand what you feel and why you are feeling that way, you start making thoughtful choices instead of the impulsive ones. Let's look at a story that happened in 1955. That is a long time ago. It was emotionally based, but it really shaped history. And this is a story of a seamstress who is known as Rosa Parks. And Rosa Parks, once in a bus in Montgomery, in Alabama, she was told to get up for a white passenger to sit. That was the usual order in those days. However, she quietly refused. And she later explained that it wasn't because she was physically tired, but she was emotionally tired. She was tired emotionally of giving in to such things. And because of that, she decided not to give her seat up. That feeling matters. Once again, that feeling matters. Because Rosa Parks' feeling eventually moved on to start what we call the civil rights movement. It started with the Montgomery bus boycott and it progressed to the civil rights movement. Think about that just for a second. You realize that Rosa Parks didn't sit down to calculate what I would do, what I will not do, the risk, the reward. No, no. She felt something deeply and which was more meaningful, true within her, that this is not supposed to happen. And because of that, it guided her to initiate something that has given all of us equal access. Her decision was not just emotional or impulsive, but it was emotion connected with purpose, awareness, and truth. I'll emphasize that again. It was connected with purpose, awareness, and truth. This kind of emotional understanding is what has real power. And that is what we want to urge us to understand our emotions so that we can always connect them with something that is more true and meaningful. Let's look at this in our real life situation. Maybe you sent an angry text last night, last week, and later in the morning or later in the day, you felt uncomfortable about it. Maybe you bought something that you didn't really need, but it felt good at that moment and you wondered why you purchased it. Or maybe you walked away from someone because you felt fear, worry, doubt with your relationship with that person. These choices are all emotional too. I want to emphasize that. But the difference here is that the emotions were without awareness. The feelings was in charge, but you were not fully conscious of what it was or it was asking you for. So the key difference is not whether your emotions are involved in making decision or not. No, not at all. The difference is whether you understand what your emotions are telling you and why. Therefore, I'll say that awareness is what transforms emotions into wisdom. I'll talk about this in another time in a different episode. Awareness is what transforms emotions into wisdom. Here at the streams of emotions, this is what we are doing together. We learn, we listen, and we lessen the heavy load that unprocessed emotions can create in our lives. So as we wrap up today, I want you to remember this. Most decisions are emotional first and logical second. This is not a mistake, it is human nature. But when you learn to understand about your emotions, you start making choices that are not just smarter on paper, but truer to who you are. Thank you for listening to the streams of emotions, and I'm glad you spent this time with me. In our next episode, we explore the influence of the emotions we often ignore. Until then, remember this: there is power in your emotions. Learn from them, listen to them, and use them to your advantage instead of allowing them to manipulate you. Take care, and I'll come by you another time.